I'm Greg Hunter. Welcome to USAWatchdog.com. With us, the man who wrote this extremely popular book. It's still in print. The Trump Prophecies, of course, the big prophecies right on the front cover that he predicted correctly in a long time beforehand that Donald Trump would be president of the United States. A lot of people now in retrospect say, oh, yeah, I knew he was going to be president. Nope, I was covering this. Everybody thought he was not going to lose, and they laughed about it, okay? Remember the ABC pool who Hillary's up by 12 points? Joke, right? Well, the joke's on her. Anyway, I gave it away. If you look down here at the bottom, it's Mark Taylor. And Mark Taylor, you're the man coming to us from your home in Florida. Mark Taylor, thanks for joining us today on USAWatchdog.com.
Thank you for having me on, Greg. It's always an honor to be on your show, brother.
All right, I know you got a list there, and please refer to it whenever you want. We'll keep it all moving. But I want to start with the State of the Union last week. Wow, big deal. One of the prophecies you had was about energy, and that we were going to do, energy was going to be thrown upon us, bestowed upon us. We were going to have, we're going to be blessed with energy. And of course, just like the Trump prophecy, people are like, that'll never happen. Well, right. According to the president in the State of the Union, it happened. We are at the very least a very top producer of energy in the world, if not number one. Let me know what your impression was of President Donald Trump talking about that, bringing that up in the State of the Union address.
Well, first off, I thought he did a fantastic job because he really was going after the moderates, trying to bring them over to the right and just show just how bad the Democratic Party was. And I think he accomplished just that. I think you're seeing the death of the Democratic Party. I don't think you'll see another Democrat in the White House for a long time, if ever again. But having said this about the energy, I was very excited to hear what he said about the energy because it does confirm the prophecy that God gave me about energy. And I wrote that on December 16th, 2016. And he says that he was releasing energy and would make America and energy independent, us and Israel. And so, I mean, you're seeing all that come to pass right now. So, I mean, it was exciting to see that. I think also you're going to see, Greg, some new types of energy come forth. I think eventually you may even see free energy come at some point. Now, it may not be, it's maybe a ways down the road, just not quite right now.
So, the people say, well, nothing ever happens that Mark Taylor says is right. Well, oops, this is number two that's happened. This is number two. And we were nowhere near being the biggest, as big of an energy producer as we are today when you wrote that in December of 2016. Nowhere near. Right. That's a fact. And it's not just fracking either. I mean, we opened up Anwar, we opened up, all kinds of other oil drilling, cut regulations. So that was a thing that Trump's doing to, rev up the economy and get it going.
Right.
What did you think about him talking about D-Day? I mean, I know we're the 75th anniversary of D-Day, but, what happened with why that? Well, do you think there's some kind of message there? I know that you don't have a prophecy on this. I know this is just your opinion. But what do you think about that?
Well, I thought it was very... it was kind of neat to hear him talking about that because the Lord had told me, I want you to go back and rewrite General Eisenhower's D-Day prophecy. And I want you to address it to my army, which I did that. That was right after I wrote the Trump prophecy. And to hear him talking about D-Day and, the invasion, the beach landings, and then he had three World War II veterans that actually were at the D-Day landings there in the audience. I thought it was incredible. So, but prophetically speaking, I'm just wondering if he's also saying that be prepared because we're about to invade the shores of the enemy, basically. And we're fixing to take the fight to the enemy, which we're already doing. We already know this. We have so much going on right now. We don't even know where to even start to talk about some of this stuff. But, I mean, we've got a ton of good stuff happening. We've got so many people out there that are talking about doom and gloom. It's like, look, nobody said that this was not going to be a fight. D-Day was not a fight, was a fight. So, I mean, we had casualties in that war, believe me. So, I mean, it's not that we're not going to have casualties and we're not going to have people get hurt, so to speak, in this war as well, because we are in World War III, make no mistake about it. But what I think what the president's doing here is that this war has been going covert for a while now since he's been in office. Now it's probably starting to get overt, if you know what I mean.
Well, I mean, he got us out of, the Trans-Pacific Partnership was going to jeopardize our sovereignty. The Paris Climate Accord, which we're going to pay for the pollution for India and China till the year 2030. He got us out of the Iran no-signature complete total fraud deal where they were doing a $150 billion deal to rein in Iran's nuclear capabilities, and nothing was signed according to the Kerry State Department in a letter to Mike Pompeo. I can prove it. Also, top Iranian advisors were threatening the leaders of the West, saying they're going to disclose to people who took bribes to make the deal go through. This was a fraud fest. That was the biggest foreign policy treason ever, the Iran deal. Where, we flew C-130s full of cash into the number one states, we're the world's number one, according to America, the State Department, the Kerry State Department, the number one state sponsor of terror. Hello? And no signatures. I digress. Let's talk about what happened with the whole speech with the coven of witches there. Everybody dressed in white. I saw one tweet where somebody just put superimposed white hoods on all the ladies,
yeah.
which the Ku Klux Klan was a product of the Democrat policies and Democrat Party 100 years ago. But anyway, what do you think about the coven of witches? I mean, they were gnashing the teeth, were they not?
Well, I mean, look at what how he played these guys. I mean, what was the only time that those women got up and started clapping was for themselves. Was when he talked about the women had the highest employee rate or employer rate, whatever it was. They get up and they start high fiving in the air with one another and they're cheering one another. That shows you all that the Democrats care about are themselves. They're not out for the American people. So they made themselves look horrid as far as I'm concerned, and they played right into the trap. And every time Donald Trump plays these guys like a fiddle, just like he does the fake news. So, I mean, I thought it was brilliant myself. But, I mean, you're seeing this stuff take place. These guys are, in fact, evil. It's coming out. Every single day is coming out, like with the abortion issues. Nancy Pelosi kind of held her hand up a little bit at one point, telling her base to kind of calm down because they were starting to get into the booing mode, if you will, when he talked about, maybe like the abortion stuff or we weren't going to be a socialist country. He flat out declared, we will not be a socialist country. I mean, did you see the look on Bernie Sanders' face when he said that?
Whew, gnashing of teeth.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was great because here we got a commander-in-chief who's actually a commander-in-chief. He's not being told what to do behind the scenes like our last presidents have been.
Let's talk about, one of the things that I was there when I was watching the speech. I was going to watch a few minutes and go back to work because I was working that night. But, wow, I stayed for the whole hour and 20 minutes. I mean, it was pretty amazing. Yeah. I mean, his first speech was only, 50 minutes or something. It was not nearly as long as this one. He did a great job, I agree. I mean, I think I gave him an A+ on my site. But Ruth Bader Ginsburg, not there. Now, you may say, well, she wasn't there last year either. Okay. Well, she's had some serious health problems, and I don't wish any ill on her, and none. She's had cancer cut out of her lungs. She's fallen, broken a rib. She's not been doing very well. Supposedly, she went to some party where 4 journalists said, "Oh yeah, we're talking to you in the back of the room," and they were tweeting about it. Really, 4 journalists tweeting. That means they had a smartphone because they were tweeting. That means there was a camera there, and they were tweeting that she was there. Why didn't they take a picture?
All right, where's the proof?
We just had a 5-4 decision. Yep. It wasn't a complete, annihilation, but John Roberts sided with the liberals, and with a case from Louisiana about abortion. And how did Ruth Bader Ginsburg make that decision?
Is it 5-4
Is she alive?
Decision? Now, my question is this: I'm not a mathematician here, but 5 + 4 is 9. We've got 9 Supreme Court justices on the court. So how did they get a 5-4 decision if she's not at work? Now, there's a lot of stuff going around on social media. Everybody's wanting proof of life. Well, who's making these decisions? Who made the vote in this case? Because the most disturbing part to me is not only that, if she's not making the decisions, then who is? We need to have proof of life as to, is she in fact here? Is she okay? Is she able to serve out her time on the bench? So everybody says, well, is she dead or is she alive? I tell people it doesn't matter at this point. She is finished. It doesn't matter. She is finished on that court. She is the linchpin. Now, this is what I've been warning people, Greg. This is where the Army of God needs to step up. They need to be praying because when this lady is removed from the bench, whether she's alive or dead makes no difference, but when she resigns, they thought Kavanaugh was a fight. You wait until this comes up because she is the linchpin of all corruption on that court, period. That is a fact. We all know it, what she's been into. We all know, like her dissertation years ago, how she talked about, 12-year-olds. Being able to have sex with 12-year-olds, whatever the case may be. But the fact of the matter is, when this lady's removed, there's going to be some issues going on across the country. So we need to be praying to make sure that some of that stuff is held off, that we can ask the Lord to hold this stuff off, whether it's civil unrest or whatever the case may be. Because, see, here's the other thing. This is all everybody wants to know, well, why hasn't this been done? Or why hasn't the mass arrest taken place? Well, this is also another reason as to why, is because we still don't have complete control of the Supreme Court as shown by Roberts, because Roberts has been compromised somehow, because we've seen it time and time again with this guy. You cannot trust the guy right now. So, I mean, it's not until we get, I believe Roberts will be replaced probably as well. Right? That's what it's looking like right now. We can get into that in just a second, well, because we talked about it pre-interview. But Ginsburg was going to be removed one way or the other. It doesn't matter. So she's done. She's out of the picture. It's not a matter if, it's just a matter of when.
Well, let's go back to your prophecy. Let's pick it up there. And what was your prophecy? You said that Trump would replace originally, and I want to start here. Let me start here.
Yeah.
Because people have given this criticism online, and they say, originally said it was 3 judges, and then they said it was 5 judges. God doesn't change his mind. How do you answer that? How do you answer those critics and give me your argument for, yes, God does change his mind, and he did change his mind on the Supreme Court judges? We're down two down and 3 to go. But go ahead.
Right. So originally God gave me 3 Supreme Court justices, and then he came back later on. He says, no, Mark, now it's going to be 5. He said, one's going to die, one's going to retire, and 3 would be caught in a scandal. Now, what that scandal is, we may never know and we can go into this later on in the interview about unexpected or unrealistic expectations. But he said it's going to be 5 at this point. God can change his mind. It's biblical. When Moses was standing before the Lord was going to smite the Israelites. And Moses reminded the Lord, remember the covenant that you had with your people. And he says, okay, I'm not going to do it. So he changed his mind. You had the prophet Isaiah went into King Hezekiah. He says, the Lord says, get your house in order because you got 15 days to live. He walked out. King Hezekiah literally turned his face to the wall. He repented. And the Lord saw that. And he told Isaiah, go back in and tell the king he's got 15 more years to live. He changed his mind. Why? Because he repented. So God can change his mind anytime he wants. He is the creator of the universe. It is biblical. He can change his mind. So when God said, I'm going to replace 3, then he says, no, I'm going to give you 5 now at this point. Things can change. So, we're seeing it taking place right now. Donald Trump will definitely have 5. And so Ginsburg is already gone as far as I'm concerned. But who the next, 2 are, I don't know.
Or next 3. Next 2.
Or next 3.
Listen, Roberts is in control of the FISA court. So he's not just in control of the Supreme Court. He picks the FISA judges. It's a proven fact. It's clear. They used a fraudulent document. This came out in multiple witnesses and congressional testimony in writing, any way you'd like to cut it. They used a phony document paid for by the Hillary Clinton, who was running the DNC, to apply fraudulently to the FISA court to spy on President Trump and his incoming administration and his administration afterwards. They got a phony document paid for by Hillary, essentially, to spy on Donald Trump. Roberts is the head of the FISA court. He picks the FISA judges. Why in the world isn't Roberts sending off letter after letter to the Justice Department, to Jeff Sessions, to whoever? It is clear they used a fraudulent document to fraudulently apply to spy on President Trump and his administration. Why isn't he sending off letter after letter saying, I want these people prosecuted? I want this. They committed a huge crime. They committed treason or sedition. Or a huge fraud on the American public by using fraudulent documents to spy on an incoming administration and spy on an administration you don't like their politics. Tell me about what you're seeing with the Supreme Court.
Well, I think this is probably one of these guys that I think is going to end up probably being outed because of this mess. I think, who the other 2 look, there could be him, or it could be 2 others. I don't know. We may never know what the scandal truly is, because this is where I tell people, and I want to get into this for a second, and we're addressing the 2 issues at the same time here, is that the Supreme Court, when I wrote this about the Supreme Court, I said 1 will die, 1 would retire, and 3 would be caught in a scandal. I tell people, be very, very careful with the prophetic, because the problem is that we have unrealistic expectations. We rehearse this movie in our head, if you will, how we think something's going to come to pass. I've made that mistake, and I'm the one that God gave the prophetic words to. And so this is where we have to be careful, because it usually doesn't come to pass the way we think it's going to come to pass. Because when these 3 are removed because of a scandal, we may never know, Greg, what that scandal is. They just may quietly resign behind the scenes, say, hey, my time's up, I'm retiring, and this is that and the other, not knowing all the while that they've got the goods on these guys and they're not going to go public with it. So this is where I tell people we have to be very careful, because they're going to say, well, 3 of them retired. You said they're going to be caught in a scandal. Well, we may never know, because they're not going to go public with this stuff. So again, it's the unrealistic expectations that you have to be careful with prophecy. It's no different than when I prophesied that Obama would try for a 3rd term. I got lambasted for that. People said, oh, that's against the Constitution. He can't do that. Well, again, and people thought, well, it could be Hillary Clinton, because if she got in, they said that would be Obama's 3rd term. Well, now we're truly seeing what actually is taking place. He's got his own headquarters, 2 miles down from the White House, and he's running a shadow government trying to undermine everything that President Trump's doing. That's his third term. So God warned about that, but we had these expectations thinking that it was something else when actually it was something totally different.
Roberts could be in big trouble here.
Yes.
I mean, he's not a word. I mean, wait,
Right.
the judges that you installed at the secret court got a phony document to spy on the president. This isn't like some smaller thing. This is like the very pinnacle of our government in the executive branch. It's a huge separation of powers issue, too, in terms of...
There's some hearsay for people saying that he could go down and they could take down the entire FISA court because of all of this. Now, whether that's true or not, I do not know. But God has not shown me anything on that. So,
but maybe he's one of it. Maybe Kennedy got caught in a. Maybe Kennedy retired because he didn't.
Could be.
Yeah, he got caught up in something. I don't know. I might want to say anything. I don't have anything. I can't prove that. But I'm saying that you don't know who's going to all of a sudden just retire when they're going to force him out, and who's not.
Exactly. That's the point with the unrealistic expectations that I keep telling people to be careful with, because you just don't know we don't have the intelligence coming across our desk that the president does.
Yeah.
So we don't have it. You know what I mean? So.
There's a real. I find it very odd though that Roberts, the head of the Supreme Court, isn't bitching his head off.
That's right.
That his FISA court that he installed the judges in got duped, and fraudulent spy warrants were issued. Why isn't he coming out?
Yeah, why isn't he coming out and saying anything? Why isn't he defending what he did or whatever the case may be? You know what I mean? So it just, to me, it's like a form of guilt.
Okay. All right. You say that there's not going to be another Democrat in the White House. Maybe
Correct.
never. And but you take a look at this. The green. What was it? The Green New Deal from Ocasio-Cortez.
Right.
And it's almost being laughed. Well, it is in many. We're going to build highways and trains across the oceans. We're going to stop flying. Don't worry about the numbers. The Fed can just print the money, as if we don't have enough money printed already. We're going to have all kinds of new taxes. It's and I can't believe some of the senators, Markey, who's saying that he's for socialism. It's going to help the lives of seniors. No, it's not. No, it's not. So your read on what's coming for America. Some people think that Donald Trump's going to be a one-term president and he's going to be kicked out of office. And what is your read on this?
No, absolutely not. I don't know where people get this stuff. And again, that's coming from the left. So this guy look. President Trump is anointed and appointed by God, and he's not going anywhere. He's not going to be impeached. He's not going to be removed from office. He will be there for 2 terms, period. Because look, Greg. The economy is booming right now. Look, I wrote that prophecy called America, America, right there. I wrote it in October 7th, 2015. It talks about literally how America is going to be booming as far as the economy is concerned. So the economy is booming now. Just think what's going to happen by the end of this first term. This man is going to walk into office. He's probably going to have more. We got like 20 people saying they're going to run for president right now in 2020 from the Democrats.
Yeah.
So it's ridiculous. And so, but you're going to see this man walk into office. It's just going to be I know I said this before, a tsunami, which I believe there still was a tsunami, which is another thing we need to bring up because about the voter fraud thing hasn't come out yet. It has come out, but they just haven't released it. But the point being is that this thing is going to be huge. This election, this 2020 election, he's going to sail right in because people are not going to want to vote against something when they've got money coming in. We've got manufacturing coming back. We got this. Our military is the strongest it's ever been. Why would we want to give any of that up right now at this point? We got the wall that's going up right now. Period. So we're getting all this stuff we've been promised for decades that was going to happen with prior presidents. This man's keeping his word. So I'm just telling you, this guy's he's going to come in with no problems whatsoever.
Well, here's a big problem: the debt. We got a lot of debt. We've got 22 trillion in debt that they admit to, and another 21 trillion missing. They've been a national security issue. And you had said that the dollar is going to boom. And I've been trying to look at this every way I can. And right now we have 2 different currencies. We have a quarter dollar, so 4 quarter dollars make a dollar, but that's from the Treasury. We have a Sakakawea dollar. That's from the Treasury. That doesn't say a dollar note, but our dollars, the U.S. dollar, the dollar is a $1 note, $10 note, $20 note. It's a Federal Reserve note. How do you think this whole economic thing shakes out? We're not paying the debt back. It's huge. We are in a huge debt bubble. But what they wanted was Hillary Clinton, who was going to, as I said before, and it's not even a joke anymore. She'd give Alaska back to the Russians. Actually, she'd probably give it to the Chinese. They'd sell Hawaii. They keep one island for Obama. I always say that. But what I'm saying is that they weren't expecting a guy like Trump to be in office when this thing got reorganized. Let's say that, not bankrupt, but reorganization. What's your feeling on that? I mean, if we're really truly going to be great again, we're going to have to shed this debt. We're going to have some sort of jubilee. That's a biblical term, right? So what's your thinking on this? The dollar, the debt, the President Trump.
Well, I think, I like it when I like the odds, honestly, because it's almost like we're going back to 2016 again when they said all odds are against Donald Trump and he's never going to be the president or this, that, and the other, and then all of a sudden God comes in and does a sweeping miracle run, basically. The same thing I believe is going to happen with the debt. Now, how God does it, I don't know. I don't have those details. God has not shown me that. And this is the whole thing. When you've got this many people saying, "Oh, this is gonna happen," or "This is gonna crash," or this, that, and the other, those are the kind of odds that I like, because that's when God shows up, performs a miracle once again for His people, and so that no one can doubt that it was totally God doing it. Period. Nobody can say that, "Oh, it was this person doing it," or "that did it." It's totally 100% God that's doing this. So I think God's going to perform a miracle. Whatever that miracle is, I do not know. I have no clue. That's even above my pay grade. I mean, because look, the bottom line, Greg, is that God's not going to tell us every step of the way of how we're going to get somewhere. God's prophesied, when He gave this prophecy about the dollar, let's say, He showed us the end from the beginning. He's not going to give us every little point in between as to how we get there. If He did, we wouldn't need faith. So people just need to have faith that God has spoken this, and that we're going to somehow, in between, God's going to perform this miracle. And it'll probably be right up at the last minute, just like it was with the election. But God will perform that miracle, and I think the debt will be wiped out somehow.
Do you think we end up getting some sort of a new dollar?
Possibly. I don't know. Honestly, I really don't. God has not shown me anything that. It could be new dollar. I mean, they've talked about the currency being backed by gold, the Fed going down, taking the Fed down. I don't know.
I had an email from somebody, or actually a comment on the YouTube channel, and he just kind of ripping the president up. He had done this, he hasn't done that, and I'm thinking this has been going on at least since Kennedy, actually maybe since post-World War II with Operation Paperclip and bringing all these Nazis in. But I digress. This has been going on at least since Kennedy. You didn't think one guy could get rid of this in 2 years. I mean, and the guy signed his email, signed his thing, I'm a former Trump supporter. What do you think about all these people that after 2 years... They're now a former Trump supporter.
Thank you for bringing that up. Thank you for bringing that up, because I've been doing a lot of this. This is called character. God is testing right now the character of every man, woman, and child right now on the face of the earth. What you're seeing right now is a test of character. What you're seeing is people, these keyboard commandos, as I call them, they're sitting back there tapping on their keyboard, talking about how Donald Trump caved into Nancy Pelosi with the wall, or this, that, and the other. I get so tired of that, because it's like, you don't understand. This man had $1 billion empire, and this man and his family gave it all up, Greg. These guys, their lives will never, ever be the same ever again. They gave it all up. Why? To save America and the entire globe. It's not just about America. People have to remember this. This is about the entire earth, that we're taking back control of the earth right now. The Luciferian reign is coming to an end, period. So these guys want to sit there and they want a Monday morning quarterback on their keyboards, and yet they don't see with the spiritual eyes as to what's going on behind the scenes. We don't get this intelligence coming across our desk every day that he does. But it just galls me to no end to have these guys out there, "Oh, I'm on the Trump train," or I'm doing this, I'm on the MAGA movement, or whatever the case may be. They do it in the church. It's no different in the church. What you're finding out right now, Greg, is who can take the heat in the heat of battle. I have been in house fires where I've had officers or I've had firefighters literally run me over because it was too hot, they couldn't take the heat, or they were panicked. And I've had to go around and calm guys down. It's like, look, focus on the objective here. And it's like everybody wants to jump off the bandwagon whenever something doesn't go according to what those unrealistic expectations again of what they thought was supposed to go down when they thought it was supposed to happen. This is called character and integrity. So your character is being tested. Think of your character as like a foundation, a concrete foundation of a house is about 6 inches thick. Well, if you're trying to build a high rise on this, it's not going to be able to withstand the weight of what God wants to put on you. So you have to go through this character training process, but nobody wants to go through the process because they think their gifting is more important than character. So this is what you're seeing coming out. You're seeing leaders, political leaders. You're seeing evangelical leaders, evangelicals. I see it all the time. I get emails all the time. Trump didn't do this, or you said this or said that, and I'm jumping off. This didn't work out the way you said it was going to. Well, again, this is character training. You don't go public. In other words, so that gentleman went on a public platform and said what he said. That's part of character training. You don't do that. You don't go in there and you infect other people with that poison, because it's all about the team. It's not about you. It's not about me. This is about the team. This is the team concept. This is what people don't get yet. This is what they've been indoctrinated with all these years. It's about me, myself, and I. So this is part of the character training. But what you're seeing right now is the exposure. This bad character is beginning to ooze out of people, and it's being exposed right now. You're seeing who is going to have your six in that foxhole. So you're seeing who can take the heat and who cannot.
You think that that he's going to drop these FISA bombs, this unredacted, declassified FISA, and you're saying that one of the holdups may be, wow, John Roberts was involved and they didn't know that. Oh my gosh.
Possibility. I don't know. I think there's a couple of reasons he hasn't dropped it. One, he's got to get the Mueller investigation over with, so it doesn't look like that. He's being a dictator, and he's trying to take down people who oppose him. Once he's cleared of all of that, Katie barred the door, I think, at that point, as far as, anything can happen. He could start dropping the FISA. We've talked about mass arrests before. Well, the mass arrests, Greg, have been going on. They've arrested I don't know how many thousands of pedophiles all over the United States and all over the world. So, but everybody wants to see, so here we go again with the unrealistic expectations. Everybody wants to see Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama do a perp walk. They want to see him hauled off in handcuffs on national television. Well, who doesn't? The bottom line is, again, we don't see what's going on behind the scenes and what this president and his administration are having to deal with globally, not just America, but globally. So we've got to be patient. This is where we have to believe that God's got a plan in place. The plan has been set in motion. We just have to follow the plan. We have to be patient. And patience is a part of that character training. And nobody wants to complete that part.
I've long said you cannot have a booming economy against the backdrop of total fraud. And listen, everything's fake. The SEC, the Dow, the Forex, the gold pricing. I mean, everything's fake. I mean, the accounting's fake. It's mark to market, mark to fantasy. The 21 trillion that Mark Skidmore discovered. Dr. Mark Skidmore is now a national security issue. I mean, it's unbelievable, and it's fraud everywhere. The fraud over in Europe, fraud over in China, fraud. Everything's a lie. I mean, almost everything's a lie.
Right.
But if he did drain the swamp, and he did send people to jail, our economy would boom. People would trust the dollar. People would trust our markets. All the capital would suck into America because they'd be running away from fraud. What do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look at China right now. I mean, look how he's. I was on your show that I said basically that everybody thought Russia was the enemy. Russia was not the enemy. I said China was the enemy. Those are the ones we had to worry about. And look what he's done. I said there would probably be tariffs coming. There would be, as far as taxes on the stuff. I said it could be a trade war. I said it could be all this stuff. And look at that. We're seeing every bit of this stuff come into play right now with China. China's being put in their place. I said something is coming for China.
You did say that.
Place.
China,
that's right.
Yeah.
Something's coming for China. It's going to put them in their place. What's happening with China right now? China is huge right now, man, as far as them being put in their place. They're towing the line with this president because this president's holding their nose to the grindstone.
Yeah, they can't afford a trade war. I mean, we have 22 trillion in debt, which took us 200 and something years. China has 30 trillion in debt, and it took them 2 decades. So they got a lot of debt. That's the Achilles heels of China. Supposedly they have a lot of gold too. I wanted to talk to you about because you brought this up just a few minutes ago, and it's about the pedophilia. And it's about all that. And I had this on my weekly news wrap up. And as soon as I brought it on, you said, we got to talk about that. And it's the Justice Department opens probe into Jeffrey Epstein plea. I mean, this is something from the Miami Herald. The Palm Beach multi-millionaire Jeffrey Epstein is a free man despite sexually abusing dozens of underage girls, according to police and prosecutors. His victims have never had a voice until now. He got a immunity deal. Right. And now he has Orgy Island. And people like, this has been reported, former President Bill Clinton, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, and other dignitaries have had little trips to Orgy Island. Gee, I wonder what they do there. And you said, "Wow, you got to bring that up because that's that could blow everything up." How in the world did this guy get an immunity deal in the Obama State Department, in the Obama Justice Department? How does a guy that has sex with dozens of, the age of the girls were 13 to 16? I mean,
first off, we already know this guy's got videos of people, dignitaries, elites that have gone to this island. That's how he got the deal with the Obama administration, because they're trying to protect all these elites.
Oh.
See, so that's that. So the other thing is that.
Oh wait! Stop!
Yeah.
Hold on. You mean Jeffrey Epstein could roll over and say, "Here's the videos that I got"?
Yeah, right.
You're saying that could happen?
That could possibly happen, brother. But look, you got a couple of things going on here where you're having some big exposures that nobody's paying attention to. This is one right here, this Jeffrey Epstein thing, and the El Chapo thing that we'll talk about here in a second. But you're seeing some huge exposures where names are being dropped right now as we speak. So this guy could turn over evidence and say, hey, look, I've got all these videos of all these elites right here from all over the world, globally. And then he starts dropping names as far as the human trafficking, sex trafficking, all this stuff, the pedophilia. We already know that Hollywood, the politicians, I mean, this stuff is just riddled with pedophilia. Liz Crokin's been out there trying to expose Pizzagate and Pedagate for I don't know how long.
Yeah.
So people are just now starting to wake up and see that this stuff is in fact true right now. And let me tell you something. The evangelical leaders in the seminaries and some of these churches and ministries, they're not immune to this, Greg. I'm just going to warn people right now. You better be ready, because we're up to last number I saw was 76,000 indictments. I think that there's some indictments with the names of some big evangelical leaders on it because of what they've been into. So people need to be prepared when this information is dropped, that some of the names that are going to come out of this.
Well, it came out in the El Chapo case that he was having sex with his handler, was bringing him 13-year-old girls. Dude, come on.
Look, El Chapo came up under Pablo Escobar.
Yeah.
And El Chapo, they're sending investigators right now to get the transcripts from El Chapo's trial that's been going on right now, because this guy's dropping names left and right, apparently, because they're finding out now that Mexico and El Chapo were paying off American leaders to smuggle drugs across. So wait till those names come out. So you've got Jeffrey Epstein and you've got El Chapo over here all at the same time fixing to take place. This is huge.
Ooh. And have you gotten any new? You don't have any new prophecies right now, do you?
Not right now.
You don't have any new? Okay, that's fine. I don't expect you to conjure them up. So that's a big deal. And then also, which right along with, let's just call this the evil section. That's what I called it in my weekly news wrap up. I want to get your thoughts on this. This is from nice guy Michael Snyder, ran for Congress out west. Pope and Islam's most important imam just signed a covenant. This is true. I read it up on the Vatican website. Just signed a covenant that pushes us much closer to a one world religion. I mean, of course, the Pope is supposed to be the vicar of Christ. Right. And he's signing a deal with the people that don't believe that Christ is the Son of God. And it says in the Quran that if Christians believe, if you believe in the Son of God, you'll burn in hell.
Right.
I'm sorry, excuse me. What's wrong with this picture when the vicar of Christ signs a deal with people who don't believe Christ is the Son of God?
Right.
Hello.
Well, here again, we go back to, God stepped in in 2016 and put Donald Trump in office to hold off the New World Order agenda, basically. They had an agenda, their timeline. It's all down in the Georgia Guidestones. It's all written right there in the Georgia Guidestones. So they're trying to push the agenda. They're trying to accelerate the agenda because they know they're in trouble, Greg. This wasn't supposed to happen for a while yet. So now they're panicking. This is why you're seeing the stuff with the wall. This is why you're seeing the stuff with all these elites that are beginning to panic. The panic is starting to set in right now because their global agenda has been denied by the Most High God as far as the timing is concerned. God is holding it off right now. So they're trying to push their agenda ahead. So is the Pope. Now, it just came out. This Pope is dirty. Both of us know that this Pope's dirty.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me say something.
Yeah.
I'm a former Catholic. I have a lot of nice Catholic friends. My problem is with the Pope because he does stuff that's not not in the Bible. Like, it's dangerous to have a personal relationship with Christ. Excuse me, you tore the veil. He says stuff that's cuckoo. Right. And even somebody like me, I'm not about biblical sky. But listen, we're not talking about Catholics. We're talking about the Pope.
Talking about the Pope.
Okay.
Talking about the Pope.
Okay.
You don't follow a man. You follow Christ. Period.
That's right.
That's the bottom line. And this guy right now is trying to move in a new world order agenda. Now, I'm going to say something controversial here. You cannot call yourself a Christian and support the new world order agenda. That's the bottom line. You are committing spiritual treason. You have to move forward with heaven's agenda, not the kingdom of darkness's agenda. And that's what most Christians are aligned with right now, is the kingdom of darkness. It's the church system, Greg. It doesn't matter if you're Catholic, doesn't matter if you're Baptist, Methodist, whatever the case may be. If we've talked about this before in your show about the churches being involved in it being incorporated, being a 501c3. It's all part of the church system. It's the Baal system, period. And the Pope is no different. The Pope is trying to move forward with a new world order agenda, and he's trying to usher in the Antichrist, if you will. But I'm not saying he is the Antichrist, but he is of an Antichrist spirit, if that makes sense. So if you are Catholic out there, don't follow a man. You follow Jesus, period. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, and the Catholics are lovely, and the Catholic doctrine, any Christian would believe it. I mean, Christ is deity, born of the Virgin Mary, died in a blood sacrifice to remove the sins of the world on the cross, or resurrected and will come again to judge the living and the dead. I mean, that's the Catholic doctrine. So any Christian would say, yeah, I'm down with that. But the Pope obviously is not down with that.
But look what's being exposed.
I mean, do you see how many times Christ is mentioned in that?
But everybody wants to pick on the Catholics. Like with the priests, and they're getting busted left and right with the kids. And now that it just came out, he just admitted, the Pope did, about the priests were sexually abusing some of the nuns. So I mean, you see all this, and everybody wants to pick on the Catholics. And I tell people, you better be very careful, because it's not just the Catholics.
Amen.
You're going to see other denominations exposed. Look what just happened with Russell Moore, the head of the Southern Baptist Convention, just came out supporting Nancy Pelosi, or had a meeting with her or something, about defunding the wall. Are you kidding me? That is a new world order agenda like you would not believe. And then the article went on to state that how he's with some other company, or not a company, but he's with some other group who's affiliated with George Soros. So it's like, come on, man. This is not hard to understand. Get away from these people.
You think that that there are people, Christians, that have a control file on them, and they're being said, "Hey, listen, we have this on you. We've got pictures of you doing this, or we've got this person saying this." Do you think that there are people that have control files on them, and they're being forced to do stuff that they wouldn't normally do, or they're loving doing it? I don't know.
Anything's possible right now at this point. From what the Lord's been showing me, with some of the mind control that's going on right now from the pulpits. I mean, some of these guys. I mean, I'll even go one step farther, and what the Lord's been showing me. Some of these guys, I'm not saying all of them, I'm saying some, are even Illuminati at this point. They are in the pockets of these guys. They're being told what to do. It's almost like the fake news, how they get their 4 a.m. talking points. Yes, there are some pastors out there that get talking points from the Illuminati, believe it or not, guys. I hate to tell you this, but it is the truth.
I've been talking to a lot of people, and I've been talking about the debt. The debt's huge, enormous. There's a lot of cracks in the wall here in terms of the debt. I mean, New York's in trouble. Moody's is warning Illinois not to increase taxes to pay for all their pensions. They're $134 billion. New York City alone took a $1 billion hit because Wall Street crashed at the end of the year. They got $98 billion just in employee medical expenses, benefits they have to pay. $98 billion, one city, New York City. We have huge debt in America. We got 21 million trillion missing dollars. Are we going to need a crash? Or what are your thoughts? Do we need a crash to clear this out, to clear out the swamp? Because the money that's going to be lost is not going to be mom and pop. It's going to be mom and top, but it's also going to be a lot of rich people going to be broke.
Well, is there a crash coming? That I don't know. Is there a reset coming? That I don't know. How God does this whole thing, like I said earlier, I don't have the particulars on this. But let me say this, because this goes along with the debt here. You talked about New York. Let's talk about the abortion law real quick, because this all ties into all of this. Oof. This ties into God getting rid of the debt, okay? Because this is the reason. Everybody's panicking over the abortion law in New York. Well, Kim Clement used to say something all the time. Is it demonic or is it dynamic? Well, I think it's both. Is it demonic? Yes, it is. Is it a dynamic for a setup for a situation? Yes, it is. Because what's going to happen? They're going to challenge these laws. And by the time, where's it going to go ultimately, Greg? It's going to go to the Supreme Court. So by the time this stuff reaches the Supreme Court, I believe RBG will be replaced at that point, and then we will have a solid Supreme Court at that point where Roe versus Wade will be overturned. It'll come down from a federal level, kick back to the states at that point. As far as now the president did call for what was it, late term abortion to ban all of it.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so he did call for that in the SOTU. So but here's the thing: when it gets kicked down to at the state level, that's where I believe the judgment's going to start, is at the state level. It has been broken at the federal level when Roe versus Wade's overturned, and God will ultimately bless America. Now it's going to fall to each state. If people like New York, if they don't repent and get some people in there to overturn that stuff, that's when the judgment will fall on that state. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing right now with the state of Florida. Governor DeSantis, which, by the way, keep your eye on this governor. This governor's going places. Ron DeSantis, trust me when I tell you this, okay? This guy is kicking hind end right now in the state of Florida. I'm so proud of this governor right now. We actually have a true governor. This guy's like a small version of Trump, to be honest with you, and I mean that in the best form. Okay, this guy, the first day in office, goes down and kicks that corrupt sheriff out of office. He got rid of
in Broward County.
Broward County Sheriff Israel kicked him out of office. He fired the entire South Florida Water Management Group, which is why we've been dealing with this whole red tide thing down here. I mean, he is truly cleaning this place up. So, I mean, keep your eye on this guy. But again, he's setting Florida up for the blessings of God, I believe, to pour into the state of Florida. And that's what you're going to have in each state once this whole thing is broken at a federal level. And we're almost there.
Well, let's just talk about the reset. I just get because I talk a lot about it, and I mean, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, or maybe I am putting you on the spot, but we got to do. I mean, listen, jubilees are biblical. It's how to take care of debt.
Right.
Every year you wash it out. We've been longer than 7 years with all this debt. Of course, it was put on us by the the weasels at the Federal Reserve, who should have let all these bankers go bankrupt, and also an incompetent dweeb Warren Buffett should have gone bankrupt. Not bailed out. Not all this companies bailed out. I digress. But I mean, what we did was bail out rich people. Even Hiawatha said that. Elizabeth Warren, who now says she's not a Native American, but she gamed the system by doing what she did. But I digress. So reset. I mean, you got nothing. There's got to be a way to remove the debt burden from these evil weasels that have shoved this debt onto America. There's got to be a way to do it.
Let me ask you a question here. Is the debt connected to the abortion issue?
I don't know.
I don't know. But that's what I'm talking about. So when Roe versus Wade's overturned, now the debt may get handled before then. I don't know. I really don't. I don't have the timing on this stuff. But is it connected to that? Does God actually see the heart of this president? And he's going to say, okay, now I'm going to give you the clues to get debt free, to get rid of the debt. You know what I mean? Because he's already come out and said, I want to ban late-term abortion. And we're seeing this stuff playing out. He's redoing the Supreme Court. See, so I think, is there a connection? Yeah, I think there actually is. So I know the timing of that connection. I don't know.
Well, go ahead.
There's always a spiritual tie to something in the natural. So when God sees the heart of this nation is to do away with the abortion issue, he's going to say, you know what? I see the heart of the people. They're repenting on this. They're actively trying to get rid of Roe versus Wade. So now, you know what, guys? I'm going to get rid of your debt.
You say that Donald Trump was anointed by God.
Yes.
And isn't it funny that he picked somebody who's a businessman and a master of bankruptcy to be in the White House? Do you think that's an accident?
No, absolutely not. And I'll go ahead and release this on your show. This is not the only Trump that's going to be in the White House, by the way.
Really?
No. I think there's another Trump coming.
And you don't think Trump, I mean, people say all the time, well, he's not doing it. He's a globalist shill. I said, my thinking is, wow, you saw what happened to the Kennedys. JFK was killed. Bobby was killed. Teddy was, in that terrible Trapacaw thing. Was that contrived, or did he do it? He's just a weasel. I don't know. Even John Jr., John, poof, running against Hillary. Right. I mean, he's not stupid. This is not a stupid man.
No.
He's not going to put his whole family up for grabs and go, just kidding.
Right.
I mean, he's going to. At some point, do you think he's going to come after these people?
Yeah, and that's where I have been saying before Trump got in office, long before Trump got in office, I said that the mass arrests were coming. And so you're going to see, and I wrote that.
And what do you say to people who say, well, we haven't seen it yet. We haven't seen the mass arrest yet. You lied, Mark Taylor. I mean, what do you say to people?
That was my point earlier about the unrealistic expectations and the character issues. I wrote in 2015, November 17, 2015, time is up for those who are corrupt. And it talked about the Clintons, how God was going to remove the Clintons. And then I wrote another one, Defeated Enemy. That was January 26, 2016. that where he's going to Obama would go down. Basically, you're going to see these people go to prison. Period. You're going to see the mass arrest. Look, Greg, how many arrests have taken place right now that we don't even know about because it's happening undercover right now? That's what I was talking about earlier when he was bringing up D-Day. Are we fixing to go from a covert war to an overt war where you're now going to see it? Was that the plan? I don't know. Could be. But the point being is we have had thousands of arrests that the mainstream media has blacked out that we're not hearing about right now.
We have.
Because people, they want to watch the fake news, and that's how they get their information. They're not listening to people like yourself on alternative media, and that's how we're getting our information right now.
Anything you want to say in closing? Is there something that on your list that we didn't get to? You had a list in the pre-interview. I said, just keep it out there and let's make sure we get it all in. I mean, people wanted to see you. You haven't been on for months. And
Right.
So is there something that you wanted to get out, or is there something that the Holy Spirit wants you to put out, or something that's sticking that you want to get out? Anything. What would you like to say in closing here?
Well, I mean, I think in closing, I just want to encourage people. There's good stuff coming. You know what I mean? We're seeing good stuff happening in this country right now, but we've got to be patient. We've got to stay in prayer. We've got to stay together. And for goodness sake, stop the backbiting. We're not all going to agree on everything, but we have a common goal, and that is to move the kingdom of God, this agenda forward, the kingdom of heaven agenda forward, which I totally believe that Trump is part of the heaven's agenda. He's moving heaven's agenda forward for America and the entire earth right now. Look at the countries we're liberating right now, Greg. Look what North Korea was liberated. Look at Venezuela's coming on board. Italy just had their version of Trump coming on board. So people need to start looking for the good as what God is doing right now on the earth right now. We got to stay together. We have to stop the backbiting. This person said this was going to happen on that date, or Q, or this, that, and the other. It doesn't matter if you believe in Q or you don't think Q's real. It doesn't matter. Stop the backbiting. We're all in this together. Focus on the mission right now. That's the main thing. Again, because it's not about you. It's not about me. This is about everyone else across the face of the earth, that God's trying to rescue the spiritually oppressed people of the earth right now. And you're seeing it take place. Because when you liberate a country like North Korea or Venezuela, now the gospel can go forth freely, Greg. That's what's been stopping the gospel, is because these things have been under control by some really bad people.
I'm going to circle back to this because you said you were releasing this on the show that Trump's not going to be the only person in the White House. Is that something you got pinged from our good Lord?
Yep, absolutely. Because here's the thing. Everybody wants to say, in the Bible, this is the last Trump. They thought Trump was the last Trump. This was a sign for the last Trump. And I keep telling people, it's not the last Trump, folks. He's not going to be the only Trump in the White House. There's another Trump coming.
Did not know that. There's another Trump coming. That's reassuring. All right, Mark Taylor, you're going to let us know, what future projects you're going to do. Right now, this is your current project that's ongoing. I know you have your Skywatch Media. What's his name? Tom Horn. Tom Horn. Tom Horn is a good man. Your
Great
movie
guy.
is now behind you. You got this is your book, The Trump Prophecies. Incidentally, the prophecies are all for free. So the people that say, "Well, he's just selling it."
Yep.
You're going to give me the link for where the prophecies are. I think it's Sword Rescue. You also have a business. You're a retired firefighter, of course, but you also have a business concern that you're doing. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? Don't you have some kind of a life-saving invention that may be sold to the Pentagon and other fire departments? Kind of a way for one person to drag somebody out of a burning building or out of a combat zone.
Yeah, it can be used for a bunch of different things. I've got veterinarians using it for rescuing animals. They do surgery on it. They can lift them. They can get them out of the back of a car. Nursing homes, hospitals. It's sword, SORD.US. They can go to that and see the videos and all the information on the product there. But that is an invention that God gave me. I've got 3 different ones, different models of that.
What's sword mean?
Special Operations Recovery Drag.
Ah, okay. So that's you'll give me the links for that too. I'm sure.
I'll give you the links for that.
Because you just said that, people will be saying, "Well, give me the links for that too."
They can find me at swordrescue.com, SORDrescue.com. They can print off all my prophetic words for free. They can find me on Twitter at Patton, PATTON 6966.
Okay, alrighty, super duper. Listen, Mark Taylor, of course, the author of the Trump Prophecies. Mark Taylor, thank you for joining us and giving us a nice pep talk here on USAWatchdog.com. Mark Taylor, thank you for joining us today on USAWatchdog.com.
Thank you for having me, Greg.